Welcome to the Online Success Journey podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 274. Today we have JP Clement, the CEO of boomtime. He has over 30 years of experience in marketing, digital strategy, and product management for companies ranging from startups to global brands. Hello JP.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. I know the client here is anxious to hear your story, so let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my client a bit about your background, about what you did before you started your online business?
So I've done a lot of things. As you mentioned, I have 30 years of marketing experience. I started doing marketing in the good old days of marketing, the traditional days, back when direct mail was actually snail mail. So I'm dating myself, but no, that's been a while. And I started doing marketing right after I finished business school. I worked for all kinds of companies, very large companies at the beginning of my career. But then, I have an affinity for smaller companies and startups, and also I realized pretty quickly I was an entrepreneur myself. So I've become kind of a serial entrepreneur of sorts. But I got in the digital marketing space in 1998. With a pretty large company based out of Los Angeles in California. And since then, I've done a lot of more strategy. As you grow into those roles, you end up doing a lot more strategy, and not just pure marketing or day-to-day marketing. As you mentioned, I also have a lot of experience with doing big product innovation and product management or design work, which is very related to marketing, but in the digital space. So I've done big projects for companies like National Geographic, which are globally known, Johnson and National, which is a big pharmaceutical company in the US, but also has a big presence all over the world, and so on. I started my own agency in 2009. I had several of them, like 3 of them, I think. And then I recently joined boomtime as their CEO. boomtime is an agency that does digital marketing, but we do it in a pretty different way. And we've built our own tools, and we call it the marketing as a service platform. We do a lot of digital marketing for a bunch of companies, especially in the B2B space, but also some B2C clients. We pride ourselves on being very transparent, as we talked about at the beginning of the meeting, of this conversation, and also being trying to make ourselves as affordable as possible for small and medium-sized businesses, which tend to be underserved in the digital marketing space because they don't have the resources to, sign up with a big agency. So we try to be as democratic and useful as possible.
Wow, what a background, JP. What is the most dangerous belief an entrepreneur can have?
Wow, that's a good one. I think the most common mistake I've seen, and I've worked with a lot of startups, as I mentioned, and I've been an entrepreneur myself, is there's a couple, but I think one of the key ones is not knowing what you don't know. If that makes any sense. So, a lot of people have, are very resistant to doing self-awareness kind of assessments and saying, okay, well, I don't know how to do this. I need to find someone to help me do that, right? And especially for entrepreneurs, especially for people who have, entrepreneurs tend to be a pretty weird breed where, we tend to be very alpha, very, self-sufficient, and full of ideas of energy. But sometimes it's really hard to take that time to do your self-assessment and say, hey, this part of the business or this part of the market that I don't understand or I don't know anything about. I need to find someone to help me out because otherwise I'm going to make big mistakes. And a lot of entrepreneurs skip that step, probably out of personality traits.
Why do you do what you do?
Wow, that's a good question, and that's a tough one. But really, what I do, and if you had asked me that question 10 years ago, I would probably have a very different answer. But at the place where I'm at today in my career, in my personal life, I've realized that one thing I love doing is trying to unlock the potential of the businesses I work with and the people I work with, and give them, all the things I've painfully learned over the years, all the mistakes that I've made, all the things that I've learned, and try to, help these people with that knowledge and experience and try to unlock their potential so they can become the best that they can be. And that goes for businesses, right? Businesses are constitute of people, so it's hard to separate the two. But I think that works for both people and the businesses that they work in or run.
You've been in business for a long time. What have you learned from business as a whole?
Wow, another tough questions. I'm not sure I'm ready for this one. What have I learned? Several. A lot of things. Not several, but a lot. But I think some of the key things is that I've noticed in a lot of the businesses that I've either run myself or started or worked with, consulted for, is that, a lot of these businesses don't really understand the power and the necessity of strategy and fact-based or data-based strategy generation or creation. A lot of people kind of shoot from the hip. A lot of businesses, operate on a kind of a gut feel. And throughout my career, and the more it goes, the more I feel strongly about this, is that, you really need to look at your analytics and your facts, so market research, and anything that you can get your hands on in terms of factual knowledge, to be able to create the best strategies for your business. And a lot of what I tell to a lot of our clients, and a lot of the people that work with me, and I've said that over the years, is that if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. As I said, I learned many things, but if I've learned one thing is that, this lack of, fact-based, soul searching and strategizing and planning is, the downfall of many, many businesses.
Others now, they are anxious, they want to start a new business. What advice would you give them? Because it's a new era. It's no longer 9 to 5. It's a new way of working. So what advice would you give to those ones?
I would say, again, speaking back a little bit to what we just talked about, do your research, do your thinking, do your strategizing. Take into account all these, as mentioned, new constraints and factors that are coming into play in today's business space. The fact that the world has changed dramatically in the past few months, by the way, and that has having an impact on everybody, not on just on a personal level, but on especially on the business level. I would say, for instance, a lot of our clients we've been lucky enough to get a lot of new clients this year at Boomtime, because people that used to go to trade shows, for instance, to do business or conferences, cannot do that any longer, and they don't know when they'll be able to do it again. And so, we've gained a lot of clients just because, what we're doing is all online, is all digital marketing, and it can really replace what they used to do in person. So, looking at, all the factors that come into play for your business or the business you want to start, is very, very critical, even more so today than it was only 8 months ago. So again, do your due diligence, do your research, think, strategize, and then act. Don't act and then think and strategize.
Let's put man aside. How do you know you are successful?
That's a tricky question. I think, look, on a personal or professional side, I think you have to define what success means for yourself, for your business or for yourself personally. So I think everybody should have, in my mind, at least, a different version of what success means. For me, I think we talked a little bit about it a couple of minutes ago. It's being able to help people unlock their potential. As a business, actually, it's kind of the same. What we do for our clients is, if we can help them unlock their potential and survive in these really strange times, I think we've done a good job. We've succeeded, right? Now we can put all kinds of metrics and measures and analytics on top of that. And actually I can give you some really hard numbers if you want to, but I think that question should be answered on a very personal level. So on a personal basis, I think, if I'm managing my business well, my employees are happy, and we're hitting our goals, our revenue goals, I'll consider that as successful. And for myself, as I mentioned, it's kind of, I have many personal goals as an entrepreneur and as a father, as a husband, and as a citizen of a country that's in pretty bad shape right now. So I have a lot of different personal goals that we might not want to get into right now. But again, in terms of business goals, my goal has always been to make sure that we're doing business successfully but ethically, and that all the people that work in my company are happy to do what they're doing, are excited to come to work every single day, and are that we give them the means to unlock their potential.
Oh, what do you mean to calculate or report the ROI to digital marketing? What does that mean to somebody who's coming online? Is that for gig people like you only?
Yeah, so I think our ROI or ROMI, or return on marketing investment, is a critical thing to take a look at and to factor in your business decisions. It's sometimes it's hard to measure. We try very hard for instance, for our clients, to show them the return on their investment with us. I've been working on things like that for years, and actually was part of a word of mouth marketing ROI team in the US that was, trying to do just that. Like, how you define the ROI? How do you measure the ROI of digital marketing campaigns or word of mouth marketing campaigns? That's something we could talk about literally for hours, but it's critical, and it's, I would recommend anybody who starts spending money on marketing, whether it's their, in-house or with an agency like us, that, they should be considering our ROI, as a key success factor. I mean, as a key indicator of success for their marketing campaigns. But that's not as easy as it sounds, right? As I mentioned, you have to look at the spending part of the equation is easy to figure out, but then the return on that spending is sometimes hard to measure. That's why we actually try to do that with at the beginning of every project that we start with our clients, is figure out what would in terms of hard numbers, what does success look like, how do we measure it, and then we do measure it over the course of our campaigns and projects. Does that answer your question? I just want to make sure that I answered it correctly.
We will need you to really spend the whole day explaining that to us. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I know it's kind of a rabbit hole that is easy to go down in and not get out of.
Been in business for a long time, as you've mentioned, worked with lots of companies. But can anyone be an entrepreneur, or are some people more cut out for it than others?
Yeah, and that's something I had to find out for myself. It's it's working for a large corporation that has all kinds of resources in place and structures and sometimes even bureaucracy, right, that exists in the company, and I've experienced that many times, is very different. It's very different to function in a system like that versus starting your own business. And some people are not cut out for it, just like they don't have the personality or the desire to be an entrepreneur. It's not for everyone, and it's hard. Honestly, for instance, the first agency I founded or co-founded was with a partner of mine that I did not know very well, and I known in a corporate setting. And it turned out that after a year of working together, we realized that she was not necessarily cut out to be an entrepreneur. She functioned incredibly well and was very successful within a structured agency or corporation, but entrepreneurial life was not something that was really well suited to her personality and her skills. So, I think if you want to become an entrepreneur, you really have to question yourself and say, am I cut out for that? And I'm happy to talk one-on-one with anybody because I've experienced it many times. But for me, after only about, 4 or 5 years of working in the large corporations, I realized that, that was not for me, and that my instincts and my desires, my excitement was coming from things that are very different and actually could not really function and exist in a very structured corporate setting.
Tell us why digital marketers should pay attention to analytics. Are they important?
Oh, they're more than important. They're fundamental. No, I really mean that, and it's interesting because analytics is something that, I always knew I had an affinity for. But when I got into marketing, to me, marketing, I was young and inexperienced, and to me, marketing was a very creative process and endeavor. And I realized very quickly, actually, in my first job out of business school with a global marketer that was very, very, very focused on analytics. And they really taught me the value of analytics in marketing. So today I see marketing as kind of this very weird dual dual beast where you have one side is very scientific and very analytics driven, and the other side is very creative, which, by the way, as a little aside, fits very well with my own personality, which is very much like that. This is probably why I've done marketing for so long, because that really triggers both sides of my personality. But going back to analytics, it's critical. As I mentioned before, I keep telling people, if you can't measure it, you cannot manage it. So it's very hard, to be able to run a business or any kind of marketing campaign or project if you're not paying attention to the analytics. They should inform everything you do. They should be tracked and monitored on a regular basis, so you know what you can do. So, for instance, what we do internally at Boomtime is that for every project we set a set of KPIs, so key performance indices, and we track to those. And we have benchmarks that we use so we can look at it ourselves and say, hey, are we doing the right thing? Are we doing a good job? And the numbers don't lie. The numbers, if you know how to interpret them and measure them, the numbers will not lie. So it's hypercritical, and I understand why, especially at the beginning when you have a startup where you just launch a new company, or you're being a true entrepreneur and keep thinking, analytics might not sound like something that's very appropriate or useful, but it is, even for startups. And you need to be able to track what you're doing analyze it and make decisions as to whether you're doing the right thing or not.
What is one thing that has contributed to your success?
I think, no, it's a good question. You ask very, very pertinent and very, incisive questions, which I like. Look, I think that, it took me a while to get there, but I think a sense of self-awareness and doing some checks with yourself, in terms of what you want to do, how well you're doing it. Are you living up to your own expectations? What are those expectations? And basically being very self-aware of how you fit in a company or a team, or what your level of comfort, level of happiness in a way in what you're doing is very critical. And I think that's one of the things that I learned how to do really rapidly. Was really bad at the beginning, but finally realized that I needed to do. And this kind of kind of inward looking kind of an assessment activity is something that really has helped me a lot. And also, I think I tend to be a very disciplined person. That I'm lucky enough to be creative and be good with numbers and analytics, but that's something that also this discipline has really helped me a lot in my professional life, especially in my marketing life. And in marketing, as I mentioned before, is both to me a science and an art, but it's something that works much better and you're more successful at if you apply discipline.
In your businesses, do you have a coach? Do you have a mentor yourself?
I've had many mentors across my career, people that I always refer to and think about and thank, silently and internally, for what they brought to my professional life, and in some cases personal life too. But yeah, I've had many mentors. I don't have a coach currently. I've used coaches a little bit in the past. They can be great. Again, coaching is not for everybody. Some people respond well to it. Some people don't. But mentors to me are critical. And I hope that in the past few years, as I've grown in my career and the levels of responsibilities that I've had in the past few years, I think that we need it's critical to have mentors, and I hope I've been one myself, and will continue being one to some of the people that I work with. So yeah, very important.
What is the most valuable thing your mentors or coaches has told you?
Well, one of them, for instance, really taught me the importance of discipline. That's one of the things, that I learned kind of the hard way. But he was probably one of the most disciplined person that I know, and was incredibly good at what he did. And I always remember, that he used to scribble in tiny little handwriting on these gigantic, like ledger-looking books. But literally everything he did and everything he thought about was recorded somewhere. And then he would go back to it and he would color code it and everything. And he would go through one of these, like literally probably 200-page kind of ledger kind of book every quarter or so. And that was really something that I was like, wow, that looks painful, but in the end I started doing it myself, or a kind of a summarized version of what he was doing, and it's great, So discipline is one of the things that I was taught by one of the mentors that was really great. Another mentor just basically taught me so much about marketing at the beginning of my career, especially about branding and brand management. And I'll be eternally grateful to her because, and we still, it was literally 20 plus years ago, and we're still friends, and we still stay in touch because, the way, what she taught me and the way she taught it to me was, a huge thing in my career. So, and I could go on. I've had a couple of other mentors, but those two things, like the essence of branding in marketing, and then also, and the importance of branding in marketing, the discipline that you need to have in marketing are two things that I think I've taken to heart and have really helped me.
What is one thing no one knows about you?
Nothing is about me. That actually I am a romantic at heart. I know it's not very marketing, Brian, but you ask me personal questions. I'm going to give you a personal answer, right? I mean, people don't,
Yes.
I can come across as very, disciplined, as very demanding, as very kind of data driven and all of that. But I'm a softie.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you for sharing. What grounds you?
What grounds me? Well, I mean, that's kind of a pretty standard answer, I'm sure, for most people, but it's my wife and kids. And I mean, if you want a business answer, it's a little bit more difficult, I think, to say, but but from a personal standpoint, yeah, it's my family is something that really makes everything into perspective. Brings everything into perspective, especially my professional life. Sometimes it's easy, you get so wrapped up in work and you spend so much time at work that it's sometimes easy to forget that, there are other people that, depend on you or want to be with you and so on. It's a very grounding reality for me.
With your experience in a digital product strategy, what would you recommend to other businesses dealing with digital products, and how do you set up Big Time Boom for its own product or the infuse in these challenging times?
Yeah. So, as I said, I've done a lot of product innovation, management, and development. And especially for companies, that would be like large companies that didn't have a very good, we're kind of behind the times in terms of digital innovation. And we're looking to people like me to figure out, what they should be doing. And so it's a little bit of a different pattern or structure, I think, on how you should think about product management in the digital space. Because these companies tend to have a lot of baggage, a lot of legacy, a lot of history, and they're trying to basically innovate or catch up with the times, right? And that's a little bit different process from just a startup that has a great new idea, a new concept, and is generating a new product. But I've experience with both, and I think that again, understanding the kind of the marketplace, if you want, or the environment in which that product is going to be launched, is very critical. So understanding not only the dimensions of it and the kind of the quantitative side of it, but also understanding the softer, the more qualitative side of and of the factors that are at play in those markets, for instance. So to me, that's very critical, and what I've seen a lot of is, kind of a dissociation in terms of the strategy the thinking behind a product and how to develop that product or how to design it first, and then also the strategy, the overall strategy of, where does that product fit in for a company? Or if it's the product is the company, how does that company fit in, into this, big strategic space, and not doing like kind of the strategic thinking and work that needs to take place. To me, that's really how you define what a product should be, instead of, trying to force an idea that someone may have had, and pushing that onto the marketplace, right? So it's more about really understanding kind of the whole the ecosystem in which or the market in which your product is going to live, and figuring out what that product should be based on what is going on in that marketplace, and how that ties back to the original concept for the product.
Tell my friend about the magic moment, the day suddenly all went right for you.
Probably, actually, when I looked at becoming CEO of Boomtime, which was a few months ago, it really was kind of the combination of having been on my own, having my own companies, my own agencies for about 11 years, after having worked for very large companies for a long time. So it was kind of the almost like closing the loop, where I would be running a company, and not a large company, but still a company with a structure, kind of what you'd call the corporate side of things. And at the same time, being able to still be an entrepreneur and finally be able to kind of impart all the things I'd been learning and experiencing over the 30 years I've been doing marketing, and finally put all of that into one place. So it was definitely kind of a culminating or kind of focal moment where everything kind of fell into place in exactly the way that I might not have verbalized myself that way, but that was exactly what I was kind of waiting for or expecting.
Tell us more about your business.
Boomtime, we're, I would say, a medium-sized digital marketing agency. We have about 30 people in the company, but we spend a lot of time thinking about and putting together processes and products in place that help small and medium-sized businesses be successful in the digital marketing space. And we focus on what we know works best for these businesses. So things like word of mouth marketing is one of them. We do, so word of mouth marketing is kind of a pretty abstract concept, and we try to put it, in to make it a reality and make it very concrete for our clients. But that includes things like, social media, profile management, content marketing or content development, content distribution, via email marketing, via social media. We build websites. We do PPC, pay per click. So ads, campaigns on Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, and the different, channels. But we do all of that, and we put together all these elements. And there are many, many things you can do in the digital marketing space. But we organize these different tactics and these different tools for our clients in a way that makes it very efficient, very synergistic, and also kind of achieves the goals that they have. So it's not always the same combination of tools and tactics, because they have to be kind of those packages have to be customized for our clients, because every client has slightly different needs. But so we do, and as I mentioned before, we've built our own digital platform that helps us make sure these campaigns that we do are as efficient as possible or as successful as possible. So we manipulate a lot of data. We track a lot of data points. So we report on these not only for ourselves, but also for our clients. And we also use that platform as a kind of I call it a diligence engine, but make sure that, we do the right thing at the right time. In what we do typically on digital marketing, the cadence or the timing of what we do for a client is very critical. And the consistency with which we do it is also a big part of how to be successful in digital marketing, especially in the things that we do. So we use that engine called Fuse to guide us through every single campaign that we do for our clients.
Where can we find your agency, and how can we connect with you?
Yeah, so the best way to connect with us is to go to boomtime.com, boomtime.com. And as for, and I'm very, very present, if you want to call it that, on LinkedIn. So you can find me at linkedin.com/in/JP Clement, JP Clement.
Thank you for sharing. So, Clan, there will be more from JP in a moment. If you are listening on one of the many podcasting platforms rather than my website and you're encouraged by JP's journey, go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for a bonus portion of the interview. The Online Success Journey is a wonderful membership community built for people searching for the path to success. We are one big clan, and you can be part of this community for free. Once you have joined the clan, click on part 2 of JP's journey or over 250 other journeys that are available, and learn how you can find the right path for your own online success journey. That's a wrap, clan. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and JP.
this is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path, so make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.